This is the online lecture to accompany Chapter 13 in your textbook. I highly recommend you read Chapter 13 as there are many important ideas, theories, concepts, and examples that I simply don't have time to address in this lecture. You can stop, pause, and replay this recording as often as you wish. Okay, let's talk a little bit about delivery. Good delivery can really make the difference between a successful speech and an unsuccessful speech. No matter how hard you research and put your speech together, when it comes right down to it, it's what you do when you're up there in front of people that is really going to make the difference. And I think that's why people get a little bit nervous when it comes to the actual delivery of the speech. Speech delivery is based on nonverbal communication. What that means is that it's based on the use of the speaker's voice. Now you would think voice is verbal, but the language that you use, the words that you use, is considered the verbal part of communication. But how you say those words, how you use your voice, has to do with nonverbal communication, and also what you do with your body. And good delivery is really an art, and it is something that you can practice and you can get better at. Most of us, when we start out as newbie speakers, we are not very good at delivery. There are always ways in which we can improve. Now, most audiences prefer a delivery that combines a certain degree of formality with the best attributes of good conversation. Think about how engaged you are with somebody else that you're having a conversation with. There's directness, there's vocal expressiveness, there's facial expressiveness, and there is just a really good sense of give and take. If you think about that and expressing yourself in a speech in much the same way, except that it's more one-sided, then I think you're on the right track in terms of how you want to deliver the speech. Now, there are 4 basic methods of delivering a speech, and as you can see at the bottom, the last one, extemporaneous, is underlined and in italics. That's because that is the one that we strive to do in this class, and after I explain all the different types, hopefully you'll understand why. The first type, manuscript speaking, is the one you probably wish you could do. That means you're just standing up there reading verbatim from a manuscript. Now, there are times when reading from a manuscript is necessary. Manuscript speeches are often used in situations that require absolute accuracy of wording, or that impose strict time limits upon the speaker, such as if a politician is speaking. State of the Union address the president gives is manuscript. Now, it doesn't look like he's reading because he's using a teleprompter, so it looks like he's actually looking at us. The problem with manuscript speaking is that certainly when students do it, they have a tendency to look down while they're reading, and it really does cut off your eye contact. Then there's speeches that are recited from memory, and this was very common in the early days of oratory, but these days most people at least have some notes. The problem with speaking from memory is that you might forget, and if you don't have anything to fall back on, you're going to look pretty silly up there. Then some speeches are delivered impromptu, and impromptu means that you have little or no immediate preparation. And that can be effective if you know generally what it is you're going to talk about. But if somebody asks you a question, you get that deer in the headlights thing going on, and you're just trying to basically think of something to say, again, that can be a pretty frightening experience. So really, we are looking for what's called extemporaneous speaking. Extemporaneous speeches are carefully prepared and practiced in advance. They're presented from a set of notes, but the exact wording of how you say the speech itself happens at the moment of delivery. Now, there may be things that you are saying verbatim, but most of the time it's off the cuff, but it is based on the ideas that you already have written down. Now, why do we use extemporaneous delivery? Well, because you have notes. You don't have your entire manuscript or your entire outline in front of you, but these notes will help keep you on track so that you do not have to read, but you can look down as often as you like and see what idea you're supposed to be presenting to us. Also, extemporaneous speaking sounds spontaneous no matter how often you rehearse it. In fact, if you give the same speech over and over again in different settings, it's going to be a little bit different speech. It's very similar to when I lecture. I give the same lecture time after time, but I never give exactly the same lecture. But I do give exactly the same information because the words that I choose to say in any given moment may be different. And then, of course, because you're not stuck looking at a manuscript, you have more ability to give eye contact and get feedback from your audience members. So in the end, we are looking for extemporaneous delivery. This is the end of Part 1 of Chapter 13. Please close this window and open Part 2.